Honestly, just because it's a big topic right now of like me and how my body is right now, is definitely like the whole 75 hard thing. And because I recently did that, and basically my question is like, can extreme discipline actually have an unhealthy relationship on you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And just so for anybody who doesn't know, explain what are the 75 hard days of, what are the components of that?
It's 2 45-minute workouts. One has to be inside, one outside. You pick a diet. It's no alcohol, a gallon of water a day. You read 10 pages of a self-help book, and then progress pictures every day.
Yeah. And if you don't do any of those things,
you're just
if you forget to take your progress picture, if you drink just an ounce less than a gallon, you fall out of the program.
Yep.
I think it's important to examine why we're doing what we're doing. And if you have a goal, like this is where I want to get to, and you reverse engineer it, I think you can come up with a good plan of attack and then execute that plan. But I think too often people get stuck when they really like fitness and they're seeing results that, if a little is good, then as much as possible is great. In your experience with 75 Hard, where do you think that maybe the discipline crossed over from something healthy to something unhealthy?
It was kind of like the last month. All these like things on my Instagram started popping up on my feed of these bodybuilders and how like they fell into this really bad toxic cycle because once their comp was over, they were eating like all this crap, and it turned them into like in 2 weeks gaining like 30 pounds or whatever. And I don't know why that sit really weird with me, but in a way I kind of feel that way because once I ended, it was like I felt good, I looked good, and then I lost like everything because I did that what you can't have. I was like, okay, well I can have it now, and I just like totally binged everything. And now I feel like I'm in a terrible habit of like, yeah, I know I did it, but my mind, like I have a mental block of like, it's kind of getting out of shape. Like it's so hard to get back into shape. But once you're there, you can maintain it. I just can't find that step to get back to it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well, it almost sets an unrealistic expectation for what should our lifestyle look like, number one. If you're somebody who likes exercise and something like 75 Hard gives you so much structure to it, and the discipline is rewarding, you feel good after exercise, you see changes in your body, right? And so you get literally addicted to that feeling good, right? It's like structure that's in your life. I think that a little bit of structure is good, but too much, obviously, if it's creating, problems or pain or, overall has a detrimental effect on your health or your fitness, right? That's where it's problematic. So one of the great things about a program like 75 Hard is that it gives you that degree of structure and discipline. You're like, okay, I'm committed to this thing. I'm going to show up for it. I think the problem that people run into is that it eliminates your ability to evaluate in the moment how your body feels, what your body really needs, and then you can't make adjustments because if you make an adjustment, you fall out of the program.
Right.
And so here, listen, I really like Andy Frisella. I like what he's put out. I especially liked his old podcast. The MFCEO Project was awesome.
Yeah.
But the program to me is so arbitrary in a couple of ways. Like a gallon of water a day, for me, is about the perfect amount. But I weigh 200 pounds.
Right.
So you weighing 40% less than that, that might not be the optimal amount of water for you.
Right.
So it's that kind of thing about the program that really bothers me. I think everybody should do the reading part of it. I think everybody should be committed to their health and fitness. But I think this is a tricky balance, to achieve. And I think especially for somebody like you coming out of college sports, high-level athlete, it's all about push and discipline. And that, really gets addictive. It's fun,
Yeah.
But, man, it can be such a slippery slope and a trap.
Definitely. And I definitely feel that slippery slope now. And it's funny because as much as I say I'm like a type B person, I think I'm a type A in a way of my whole life with sports. I had to be type A because I had a structure, and I had like, as much as I had the freedom in college, you still had to follow a schedule. And then once I got out, I was like, what do I do with my life? And that's where I felt like 75 hard kept me in that like discipline of following a structure. And so now that I'm not in it, it's not that I don't have a structure now. It's like I feel at a very like plateau in everything.
Yeah.
Is what it feels like.
Yeah, and I've done a lot of competitions too. I mean, from CrossFit competitions to Ironman triathlon, and a lot of cycling in there. And one of the hard things about a competition is there's so much lead up to it, right? You work so hard to achieve this goal, and when it's over, what's left? You have nothing left to train for. You hit the goal. Do you feel the way you wanted to feel after it?
Right.
And so I think that one of the things that you learn over time is making sure that you focus on your process, not the outcome. And if your process is really good, your outcome is going to be good. But I think one of the things about building a healthy process is at that point, you are building behaviors and habits that will last for a long time. That's where it's really important to examine your process and make sure that's not pushing you beyond what's healthy. If you don't set up a sustainable process, then you get caught in this kind of yo-yo push and pull situation that ultimately won't get you to where you want to go in terms of your goal.
Yeah.
So I think that really, again, going back to thinking about what's your end goal and how do I work that backwards, it can be really helpful.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of competition over the years, it's really refreshing to get to the point where I am now, where I still want to be fit. I still want to be healthy. I still have some standards and some goals I want to meet. I want to do an occasional competition or have the excuse to push myself. But my idea of what it is to be fit is very defined now, and it doesn't take a lot of work to maintain. So if I want to do something fun and challenging, I can. Like Elijah just asked me to do a high rocks race with him. We were kind of joking about, whether or not we would match up for that. And I was like, okay, we'll do it. And I don't really want to like commit to more training than I'm doing now, but it'll be fun. We'll go there. It'll be a challenge. But coming off that, it's just like, it's almost like any of those tests, and like that's almost an inconvenience now because I'm just happy, with my process. I like to train most days of the week. I never get upset about taking a day off. I rest when I need to rest. I'm happy to modify workouts. If there's a workout I'm excited about doing and I come in and my body just doesn't feel ready for it, I just don't do it. I modify it, I skip it, I change it, and it just doesn't bug me at this point.
Yeah.
But that's because I know that even if I do a modified workout, I'm still going to feel great afterwards. It wasn't what I wanted to do, but you get okay with that. And then
me today.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes you change it and you're like, oh, that was actually pleasantly surprising. And I think that sometimes you even find when you're willing to modify or do something a little bit differently, what you find is you learn something new from that workout, that you're glad for that opportunity. And you wouldn't have got to try that thing if you didn't modify.
Very true. Yeah.
So if we're thinking about how to help people that we coach avoid that trap, right? Some of the traps around, over-planning or overtraining or being too goal-specific, what do you think some tools are that can help people avoid that? And I know you're just reconciling this for yourself, so it's hard. But based on what you've learned, what would you tell yourself 75 days ago that would have helped you ended that challenge in a better spot?
I feel like kind of how what you were talking about, piggybacking on that, is like not getting upset because you chose to listen to your body. And like I'm still figuring that out myself of like, wow, I really don't feel great today, and like why would I push myself? But the athlete in me is telling, well, you're lazy if you don't do that. So I just think like rest days are very important of, if it's just a walk outside instead of this super hard workout, at least you're like still moving your body, but you're taking the rest that it needs. I think that's one step forward.
Yeah. Well, what I was telling you, we were talking about this yesterday, and my advice to you was find the opportunity in injury, because it will make you a better athlete. It will make you a better coach. It will help you understand now how to take care of your body, because ultimately this is the place that everyone needs to get there with their own health and their own fitness, especially if they're a type A, at least exerciser, or a type A athlete, right? That might not be their overall personality.
Right.
But there are lots of people that aren't type A until they get in the gym, right? And so helping them understand that, hey, if something doesn't feel great, let's figure out why. Let's be willing to modify a little bit. Let's be willing to make adjustments. It's really building maturity as an athlete.
Right.
And what you'll learn through that process is how to take care of your body. You know, I've been a disciple of Kelly Starrett's for a long time. I love the Starrett system for mobility and taking care of the body and the philosophy surrounding that. But you know, one of the tenets of that is like everybody should be their own mechanic. Your body's a machine. You got to learn how to work on that thing to keep it running at the level you want it to run. Especially a lot of times when you're younger, like you didn't get injured in college playing basketball the whole time. And so what you learn from that experience is you can just push as hard as you want for as long as you want. And the only reason you're not going to achieve something is because you didn't work hard enough for it.
Right.
That changes as you become an aging athlete, even a little bit. And this happens for a lot of people, even in high school or college.
For
you know,
sure.
it's not this isn't an age-driven thing, but it certainly becomes more of an issue for everyone the older they get. And so, what do you do when something goes wrong? That's what we can learn from this.
Yeah.
You know, when something goes wrong, it's like, okay, it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to lose fitness. You don't have to respond out of fear. But I think one of the things that 75 Hard would do really well to do would be hire me to deliver a mobility program so that the athletes that are going through, or actually it's a discipline program, not an athletic program, right? So that the mind athletes that Frisella is trying to develop have a mobility program or a recovery program that counts as exercise.
Yeah, definitely. Because, I mean, I felt like I got away with a lot of stuff in college of just how my body worked, just like you said. Like I was run down in ways, but it didn't keep me from playing. And it's funny because now that I'm like really active in my job and starting this new life of mine, my body is like suffering pretty bad now in a way of I kind of just look at you and Danny, and now I'm coming to the realization like, okay, I think you need to like actually put mobility and rehab in your routine every day. Otherwise, like you're not gonna survive this life that you want. Because I think that was like one of my biggest fears of like, long story short, I really wanted to be a firefighter my whole life. And one of the main reasons why I backed out and didn't decide to do it was because my body was already jacked up from sports that I felt like I was not going to make it past 50 of like a hip replacement, knee replacements, all this stuff because the fire service was going to deteriorate me. But I mean, I look at what I'm in now and I'm like, okay, cool. Well, this is going to deteriorate me if I don't take care of myself.
Right,
so
you pick the same path.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, and that's, again, going back to your process, it's like, okay, how do I do this for the long haul? You know, how do I learn to take care of my body? And the cool thing about, I mean, one of the things I love about our gym so much is that you have people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s who are all killing it.
Yes.
They're really good athletes. They're having a great time. They're ultra healthy. What you realize really quickly is like you don't really have to give up a lot of fitness over the years. You know, in your, like I look now, I'm like a little bit slower than I was in my, you know, late 30s now that I'm in my late 40s, but I don't care as much. I don't even want that anymore.
Yeah.
It's not important to me. And I can still perform. I can still run around with you guys most days if it's a good day.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to give that up. And so if you're like, okay, I can actually have all the fitness I want and I can have, you know, the abilities I want, I can have the physique I want, and I can do this forever. Like that's a really exciting thing. It's almost like you just cross fitness off your list as like it's still a priority.
Yeah.
But it's not like I have to give up anything to have that. Now it just feels like maintenance.
Right. Two things off of that. It's funny because I saw this thing and I was like, that's a interesting way to like think about it. But it was saying that a lot of people think fitness is a hobby, and it really is like your hygiene routine. Just like you would brush your teeth, take a shower, it's a part of that routine.
100%.
And now, like sitting here and listening to you talk, I'm realizing more that the goals, I don't think I have the correct goals for myself, and that's where I probably need to like sit down and be like, what is my end goal, or at least a couple years goal, because I think I still have that mindset of like playing, which is no longer goals that I can reach anymore. So maybe like that's why my mindset's a little foggy, because I don't have the correct goal in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a tough thing, and it's allowed to evolve too. You know, it's totally allowed to evolve.
Yeah.
You know, and I look back on, you know, I did so many things in my 20s and then 30s that really jacked up my body. Like a lot of injuries. Like my shoulders are a mess from motorcycle accidents and bicycle accidents and just the amount of volume I did training. But then I look back on those physical accomplishments that I did because of that training, and I wouldn't trade those for anything.
Right.
I don't regret that at all. But how do you reconcile that and then manage it moving forward? So there's a balance there. Are you familiar with the CrossFit fitness, wellness, health continuum?
Yes. Yeah.
Right, you just did a level 1, so of course you are. So the idea there is that there's a whole continuum, and that the fitter you are, the healthier you are. If you're sick, we're pathological in some areas, right? Whether you're looking at, you know, your blood lipid profile or your blood pressure or your resting heart rate or your body fat percentage, right? You're sick. These things are broken. If you're well, it's like you go to the doctor and they're like, you're perfectly healthy, right? There are no check engine lights on. But if you're fit, right? Let's just say, take blood pressure as an example. If you're like pathological, you got a blood pressure, you're at 150 over 90, right? And they're like, hey, this is problematic. If you're well, right, what is the threshold for that? It's like sub 135 over 75 or something like that.
80. Yeah.
Something like that, right? And then you're okay, right? No problems. But then what we would expect to see from an athlete is like 120 over 60 or 115 over 60, right? It's better. And so the cool thing about that is you get unfit if something happens. Emergency in your family, you have to take time off to take care of them. You're in a car accident, right? There's anything that's an interruption to your fitness.
Right.
You have to slide all the way through wellness, what's normal, to get to sick, right? So it's like a buffer for fitness.
Yeah.
What I want to say about that continuum is, what I think about fitness and competition is usually to chase a competition, that's where fitness and health diverge. Because for me, to get as good as I wanted to be at some of the sports I did and some of the competitions I engaged in, I had to make compromises to my health to get there.
Yeah.
So I think if we maintain that framework, fitness is health. If we can maintain that, then we'll always make good decisions regarding what we do to our bodies, how we treat our bodies, what we put into it, what we do for exercise, you know, and it's kind of a good little checks and balances that kind of helps us navigate that.
For sure.
All right. So what should we say? You want to sign off there?
Yeah. Actually.
Got another one?
Yeah. This one, these two kind of go together, and we've talked about it before, but people will finance a $70,000 truck and they'll like buy the newest iPhone and they'll go out each month. But like, why do you think people see fitness as an expense rather than like something to invest in?
Man, that's a good one. I heard